Welcome to this short video on how to install SQL Server. I've downloaded the Microsoft SQL Server from the Microsoft site. It's the Express edition we're going to be using in this demo. If you want to find the download links for this, if you visit www.darrenhunter.net, and you will see the links for it on the right hand side of the homepage. So let's have a look how you go about installing SQL Server. So double click on the download and it'll extract the packet. I'm not going to stop the video at any point. I'm going to show you it installing all the way through. It might make the video slightly longer, but you'll get an idea of how long it takes. Okay, obviously UAC's just kicked in, so we click yes. Sorry about that, I just had to stop it and come back to it. The sound decided to go a bit loopy, so I've just cleared that. Right, so once you're at this stage, click on New, Install, or Add Features to Existing Installation. Click that. That will run up the sort of prerequisite checker and everything else. So obviously once that's run, accept the license agreement, click next. Maybe slightly slower on this virtual machine than actually physical hardware. Obviously, this is running on top of my underlying Windows 7 install. So, as I said, it may be a little bit slower. Once it's done the prerequisites, then it'll start the actual install of the SQL Server. Or configuration before the actual install, I should say. So, right, make sure everything's selected you want to install, then click next. Obviously, you can leave it as a default instance or named instance. I would strongly recommend that you always name the instance of the SQL Server you're going to use, just for practicality's sake. It makes it easier to find. Sorry about the pop-up then, it was just my email client. So give it a named instance, then click next. Make sure all the services are started or all the services that need starting, make sure they're set to automatic. So obviously SQL, that one there, leave it set on manual. SQL Server browser needs to be switched on. Or if the SQL Server was going to be accessed, say, from my desktop, potentially I wouldn't see the SQL Server. This service here allows the SQL Server to be seen across the network. Also as well, obviously, make sure when you're setting the server up, you set it as a network service. If you're using if you're installing this on a domain controller, then you're going to have to install it as a local service, and then after install, switch it over to a network visible service, e.g. either by changing it to network service or by using a login that has network rights. But as I said, for the sake of this video, we're just going to do a stock install, accepting most of the defaults. So everything I want on there is set, so click next. Come on. Right. On this part, the database engine configuration, you can use either Windows authentication, which basically means it would authenticate against the user that is logged in currently on that machine, or if you use mixed mode authentication, this is to set the SA user on SQL Server. So I'll just give this a password. Give me a second, I'll just type that wrong. So obviously as well, make sure the current user is also set up against it. Unless you actually want to do anything else with the SQL Server, which I suggest if you do, Google it. Just make sure you set it up in mixed mode. Give it a use and obviously set up the SA password. Make sure you remember what that is, because if you forget the SA password, you may end up finding that you can't log in as the super user for SQL Server, and that can cause problems. So, okay, set that up, then click next. Leave it on the top option for native, unless you happen to have SharePoint or something installed. Or you can install but not bother setting up reporting services if you don't want them, but usually when I'm installing SQL Server, I leave it on the top option because I've never actually had to set up anything to integrate with SharePoint yet. So click next. Yada yada yada, error reporting. If you want to send it back to Microsoft, just leave it unticked and then click next. It sets up the installation rules and then starts the installation. As I said, I'm not going to pause the video for you to see what's going on. I'll just leave it running. I mean, sometimes, depending on the version of SQL Server you're installing, the process you're seeing now can actually take anywhere up to about half an hour. But so far, it looks like it's been reasonably quick on this virtual machine, so we'll just see what happens. I'm going to shut up for now and just let it run. Actually, second thoughts, I don't think you actually want to just see this installing all this, so what I'm going to do, I know I said I wasn't going to pause the video, but I'll pause it and come back to you just before it finishes this bit. Back in a minute. Right, it looks like it's almost finished, so we'll pick the video back up. Unfortunately, due to the screen recording software I've had to splice two videos together, so I apologise when this part came on if there was any jumping, but hey ho. So as you can see, it's just finishing off the install of SQL Server now. So we'll just obviously let it run at this point. Watch it and let it run. Yeah, unfortunately, the main problem with SQL Server is it's not quick. It's not a quick process to install it. It can take a fair amount of time, depending on obviously what the specification of your hardware are. One thing I will mention at this point is you're going to have to go into the Service Configuration Manager for SQL Server and turn on namepipes TCP/IP and leave VIA off, and I can't remember what the fourth protocol is. I'll show you that in a minute, but by default SQL Server 2008 and 2008 R2 and I believe 2012 leave all the protocols turned off. Not quite sure why Microsoft did that, but it's what they do. So yeah, it can be a slight pain in the jacksy at times. So we'll just let this finish, and obviously I'll show you it working. Obviously, there we go. SQL Server is now fully installed. Wait till it finishes this, and then we'll go through what you need to do with these services. So obviously once it's finished, click Close. Get rid of that. Click on your Start button, your globe, or whatever you happen to be using. Go to All Programs. Find something that says Microsoft SQL Server R2 or whatever version of SQL Server you're using. Go to Configuration Tools. Then select SQL Server Configuration Manager. Allow it to run. Right, this is what I was on about when I was on about protocols. As you can see, shared memory is enabled, name pipes is turned off, TCP/IP is turned off, and VIA is turned off. Leave shared memory on, enabled name pipes, and also enabled TCP/IP. You're also going to have to do this for native client. Obviously, native client showing it is enabled. I'll just check aliases. Everything's okay. So obviously, the last thing to do is just to restart the SQL Server. Just to make sure, obviously, as it said in the message, to make sure the services are actually running. Okay, SQL Server, so as it is, and if we now fire up that, go into SQL Server Management Studio. I'll pause the video at this point because you don't really want to see this. Give me a sec. Obviously, it's just doing the pre-configuration, so we'll just pause it till it's done that. Pre-configuration's done, so right, what we need to do is, obviously, you select your server name. If you're using Windows Authentication, select Windows Authentication from there. If you're using SQL Server Authentication, it will be SA. Then you type in the SA password. You could always tick remember password if you're like me, who has got a tendency of forgetting them. And the only person who accesses the machine. Click remember password. Not good practice, but whatever. Click connect, and you've now got access to your SQL Server. It's up, it's running. So from this point on, obviously you can run scripts, create databases, and obviously connect clients to it, as long as the SQL Server itself is running as network authority or an account that has network authority. If you're on a domain controller, or if you're on a regular workstation, or a server that isn't a domain controller, a member server, then you should be able to access it. Saying that, if you've got a firewall on, you may have to disable certain ports, but again, if you look on www.darrenhunter.net, under Articles, Documents, there is a complete document on there on how to configure SQL Server. Thank you for watching this video, and leave your comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on my website. Obviously you can't leave comments, but thank you.